Space. Since its inception in 2008 with a value of $16 million per match, IPL today is not only the fastest growing but is also the second most valuable sports league in the world. Last night's final match of the 2023 season saw Chennai Super Kings clinch their fifth title after a dramatic win off the last ball against Gujarat Titans. During this final, Jio Cinema, which broadcast the league this season, broke the world record for the most concurrent views on a live-streamed event with 3.2 crore viewers watching the final. Media houses have shelled nearly 50,000 crores to stream IPL for the next 5 years. Not only that, BCCI and the franchisees have a collective mop-up of over 900 crores in sponsorships. Advertisements are another big stream of income for the league, with each spot costing around 10 to 14 lakhs. So what lies ahead for the league going forward? To take this forward, I'm now joined by Ayaz Menon, sports writer and commentator, and K Shriniwas Rao, group editor, sports at Network 18. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Menon, coming to you, 32 million concurrent views on Jio TV in the final match. As far as BARC ratings goes, IPL TV viewership drew 451 million unique audience. This was just in week 5 of the IPL 2023 season. What does this say about the popularity of the format of the game?
Well, I mean, there are a couple of things here, Parikshit. One is the popularity of the format itself of the property of the Indian Premier League, which is, is just breaking all barriers and breaking all records, as we know. The other is the consumption of technology, or the utilization of technology to access such an event, which is growing at supersonic speed, especially in India. So, I mean, both things are happening simultaneously. And I think the expansion in the value of the property, as well as how it is consumed, is going to just kind of be dramatic upwards from here.
Right. Shrivas, give us a sense of how this IPL format has changed over the years, how it has appealed to a digital audience, and how we've seen a growth in digital viewership apart from the TV viewership as well. And what are some of the changes to the IPL over the years which have helped it gain popularity?
Right, that is to me.
Yes, Srinivas.
Yeah, okay. Well, how it has changed phenomenally. First of all, IPL, as we knew it, the product that we knew IPL as, is back on the track. So, that is feather added back on the cap. I think the jazz that we identified the IPL with, I thought that had gone missing, partly due to the pandemic. Also, perhaps, there was a new kind of fresh infusion of energy required. I think that happened with the inclusion of 2 new teams. All of that coming together, I think, added that spark that had gone missing. Having said that, what I feel is that the IPL, this season's IPL, is what it is because of the franchisees and because of the cricket that we've seen on the field. From the BCCI standpoint, and from what the BCCI has managed to do to the product, I think the next 4 years is going to be work in progress in terms of kind of making it better. I still expect a lot to be done.
Right. Mr. Menon, coming back to you, would you call the IPL recession-proof in a way? Ahead of this season, there was, of course, concern that many startups are facing funding issues. There is a funding winter, and therefore the ad spends could be lower. But from what we read and what we hear, the ad spends could be greater than previous sessions. What's your view?
So, Parikshit, I think the passion for cricket, or the consumption of cricket, is certainly recession-proof, in the sense that in India, people will still watch cricket and will watch wherever cricket is played or shown or streamed or telecast or whatever. Whether the profitability matches that will really depend on how robust the economy is. And if there's enough heft in the economy, then obviously the profits will be even greater. And we've seen that steadily over the years, and especially since the IPL started. And initially, when teams were sold for 400, 450, 380 crores, the jaws had dropped and people thought that this kind of money could never be recovered. But 15, 16 years later, the value of those same teams are hovering around the region of 10,000 crore. That's, that shows you the phenomenal, the growth in terms of the valuation of each franchise, and then of course collectively of the IPL itself. So if the economy is growing, the IPL is becoming even stronger and stronger, because India's passion for cricket and consumption of cricket seems to be insatiable.
Right. Srinivas, talking about the revenues that different stakeholders have managed to rake in, give us a sense of the kind of revenues the BCCI has managed to garner for itself and the franchisee owners. In fact, according to some accounts, investments in IPL teams are capable of higher returns than some of the blue chip stocks. So give us a sense of the kind of return on investments the franchisee owners, BCCI, have got from the IPL.
You asked, you brought up the subject of whether IPL is recession-proof, and I'll begin from there. I think the answer lies in the fact that the business model on which the IPL is based is a model that is, it caters so beautifully to all the stakeholders that are involved here, and that is what makes the league and the business of this league so special. It revolves, of course, around a very gifted central revenue pool, thanks to the kind of consumption that cricket sees in a country like India. That central pool that we're talking about, obviously, is the broadcast money. That is the major chunk that we are looking at. The business model is very simple. 50% of whatever comes in goes to the BCCI, 50% goes to the 10 franchisees. So in this case, 48,000 crore have coming from the broadcast rights, sale of broadcast rights. Let's say 1,000 crores per year in terms of the central sponsorships. So for 5 years, 5,000. So around 54,000 crores just divided by 50%. So you're looking at around 27,000 crores being distributed among 10 franchisees over a period of 5 years. That is good money. I can tell you, add a bit of local sponsorships and local revenues, gate monies to it. Each franchise is taking home nothing less than 300 crore, 250 to 300 crore at a minimum, I'm saying. Top franchises like Mumbai Indians and CSK add another 100 crore to it. That is the kind of money that we are looking at in terms of what the franchises are making. Question now that needs to be asked going forward over the next 5 years is what are the franchises putting back? How much are they putting back into the game? Again, Mumbai Indians, Chennai Super Kings remain the benchmark in terms of what they're doing from the game, for the game at a grassroots level. I think the same question is going to be asked of the other franchisees as we move forward in this cycle. And a quick word on the sponsorships. Just see how we have moved away from traditional brands, old brands, to startups now entering this space. We have so many, Upstocks, Gromo, or kind of Swiggy, or look at any number of, central sponsors who've been coming in. You'll see that 70 to 80% of these sponsors have been startups. So a great deal of startup money, because again, cricket offers you that visibility, those eyeballs. So yes, the business is changing. That said, franchisees are making good money.
Yeah, franchises are making good money. And you've given me a good question to put to Mr. Ayaz Menon as well. Mr. Menon, taking a cue from what Srinivas is saying, what do some of these franchisees need to do now to become better, to use the money they're raking in better for their teams?
I think at the primary or the fundamental or the basic level is to make it a great experience for fans who come to the stadium. Remember, each franchise, at least in their home venue, is the custodian of the league and the matches played there. And therefore, they get money from the ticket sales, from in-stadia advertising locally, and so on and so forth. So you make it a great pleasurable experience, I think, in fact, it's become bounden duty. Because if there is discomfort for a viewer, you can't take your family there, you can't have a great evening, then obviously there'll be dropouts, and you don't want that. So that experience of coming and enjoying an evening at the IPL is something that every franchise is chasing. I think they are committed to it. And the other thing is, of course, to ensure there is a high sustainable or high quality of talent procurement is sustained over a period of time, which means sending out your scouts and your marshals to all the areas that you can think of and fetching young, exciting talent from within, from hinterland, from Mufassil areas, from metros, wherever. Ultimately, the competition, the level of competition is so high that you can't afford to be a laggard. And I think that's what's really driving the IPL. I think that high interest is because you look at all 10 franchises, the spread of talent is very even and they're all very equally matched. Unlike, say, in Premier League, if you've got so many teams, the top five, who'll finish in the top five, the others may be languishing behind. That doesn't generally happen or has never happened in the IPL. Last year, Chennai finished 9th. This year, they won the tournament. That's how topsy-turvy can be. And that brings out the flavor of the T20 format as well as tells you what franchises need to keep doing. You can't say, I've won this year, so I will win the next year. That's the challenge that you have to face and square up to, and therefore find really good talent to come and play for you.
Right. Srinivas, coming back to you, the likes of Shubman Gill really stood out in this IPL. Give us a sense of the other high-impact players, the talent that really stood out in this IPL season, and players to watch out for in future.
Well, the emerging player of the season, Yashasvi Jaiswal, I just can't look beyond him to start with. Phenomenal talent. Now, you look at by the way, I mean, before I go a little deeper into this, let me tell you that the next year there's a T20 World Cup to be played in the Caribbean and the US. The team that gets selected for the World Cup is going to be majorly based on this IPL season, not the next one. Reason being that the time is going to be literally like there's going to be no time between the next IPL and the selection of the squad. So the squad that gets picked will be picked from this season's IPL. So keeping that in mind, look at the openers. You already have Shubman Gill, as you mentioned, Ruturaj Gaikwad and Yashasvi Jaiswal, 3 extremely good openers to pick from. You've got some great middle order talent that you're looking at. Yesterday, we saw phenomenal knock from Sai Sudarshan, and look at the boy and the way he's grown in confidence. The comeback of Vijay Shankar, who until now we had been ignoring, Abhinav Manohar, another boy from Gujarat Titans, who's never actually found a consistent space in the squad. Look at Mumbai Indians, Tilak Verma, Nehal Vadera. The names are just endless in terms of, what kind of a middle order talent has this IPL produced. And the same goes for some of the young fast bowlers. Look at Punjab. The only player they had retained last year going into the mega auctions was Arshdeep Singh. Look at the kind of confidence that they showed in this young boy and the way he's delivered it from them. Unfortunately, the team was too dependent on the batting on Shikhar Dhawan, and I'm sure they can improve going forward. But that said, the young talent that has come out from across the teams is just been phenomenal. Ayaz talked about scouting, and I can tell you that some of these franchises go very, very deep and last mile when it comes to scouting of talent. Tilak Verma is a classic example of what I'm saying. How Mumbai Indians tracked him, how Mumbai Indians tracked Nehal Vadera and pursued him at the auction. These are things that are going to go a long way. To conclude this, the important thing I have maintained for a very long time is the BCCI needs to now do away with player auctions, especially those mega auctions. If you want to build a team at the grassroots levels, you have to allow the franchise to go looking for talent, which is what the franchises are doing. So you can't say every 3 years that now break your team and let's go back to the auction. Do not do that. Allow franchises to build their own teams based on grassroots talent and see the wonders of IPL and what it can do.
All right, those are great points. Mr. Menon, final question about MS Dhoni, what he did for Chennai Super Kings, and what are the odds of him making a comeback in the next session?
Blew the odds aside, didn't he, last night after Chennai won the tournament, and he said he's going to come back next season. He's going to check his body for next 5, 6, 7 months and see if he's fit. And then, he'll come back because he thinks that he owes something back to the fans. So, I mean, that's great news for CSK. But Dhoni by himself, I think he's become the resident deity of the Indian Premier League, isn't it? 5 title wins. He's won the Champions League title also, as we know. Apart from other tournaments like the Champions Trophy and the World Cup and the T20 World Cup and so on. I think he's become, a metaphor for India's excellence in white ball cricket, certainly, though I would expand it even to red ball cricket, because remember when he was Test captain, India had become the #1 team in Test also. So I think that Dhoni has had a enormous, phenomenal influence on the Indian psyche where cricket is concerned, and a lot of the talent that Srinivas spoke about, youngsters from deep, Mufassil areas and tier 2, tier 3 cities who are coming now and enriching cricket in India. So much of it is because of the influence that Dhoni has had on the sport as well as of Indian life.
Right. Any thoughts on MS Dhoni, Srinivas? Just to end, also, I'd like to ask you, it's often said that digital is taking over TV viewership, but perhaps that's not yet true when it comes to the IPL. How do you see the broadcast of IPL, its viewership patterns changing over the next few years?
Well, to sum this up quickly, I'll just say this, that, as the value rises in terms of the broadcast money that comes in, I'll use a small example here. Until now, cricket was a product that broadcasters bought on a rental model to sell it for a subscription fee and earn from it. Cricket was the chief product that the broadcaster sold. With the advent of technology and other businesses, looking to use cricket as a catalyst to build themselves, cricket is not a cheap product and not the cheap product anymore. Cricket is a byproduct. A broadcaster will now use cricket to sell everything else, and that is where the digital revolution is. The broadcaster will use cricket to sell a SIM card, use cricket to sell data, use cricket to sell retail, use cricket to gather eyeballs. And that's where I keep saying that cricket is no more the chief product earning you revenue. Cricket is only a catalyst now, help your other businesses do well. That said, MS Dhoni, the other bit that you asked about, well, I had said it on one of our shows on Network 18 earlier, where this man is not going anywhere. This man is going to stay. As a player or otherwise, Chennai Super Kings is home to him. He's never going to leave Chennai Super Kings. The day he thinks he's done playing, he's going to run Chennai Super Kings. He's not going to be a mentor or a coach or a former cricketer. No, he's going to run CSK. It's his franchise for all practical purposes. But until the time he can be on the field and contribute, he will do it, knowing how the people there just adore and just love him. Of what we saw last night was a classic example. His knee is the only concern. I can tell you that he's in touch with top medical experts. Right now, as we speak, he was waiting for the IPL to get over coming back from the knee injury that he's facing. That remains his top priority. If he can come back in time, he's right here for the next IPL.
All right, Srinivas Rao, Ayaz Menon, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast on the economics of the IPL and how the sport is likely to evolve in future. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. India's top wrestlers have decided to immerse their medals in the Ganga River at Haridwar today. This after protesting wrestlers were detained by the Delhi police ahead of their plan to march to Parliament. More on that when we are back.